Welcome to the Your Leadership Legacy podcast. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I'm so excited to bring you this next podcast dedicated to you high performers out there who want to reinvent yourself, reinvent your business, maybe your career, all of it. This podcast is all about being dedicated to transformation and being the best possible leader of yourself and others that you can be in order to create a legacy that lives on. Welcome to Your Leadership Legacy. My name is Tina Paulus-Krause. I am the founder and CEO of True You Teams. And here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Your Leadership Legacy. I am kind of excited today. I have a BFF on the show, Keri Stanley. Hey, Keri.
Woo, woo. Woo, woo.
We don't really this is why I love Keri so much. And this is why I love having her on the show. Because 3 minutes before we started, hit record, we're like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. How about we do a check-in? Awesome. Great. Sounds good. Go.
And here we are.
It's great. How are you? What's going on with you, my love?
Oh my gosh, I'm great. I've not slept much at all. I have this, I don't know about you, but I have this thing when it's a full moon that it massively disrupts my sleep. And I've noticed it's such a pattern. And it's like I lay in bed and I toss and turn and I do that whole thing where, because I'm a good sleeper. In general, I'm a good sleeper. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to have some of the menopause symptoms where it's starting to disrupt my sleep a little bit more often. And
that train launched a while ago.
Yeah. And so I am noticing a little bit more disruption in that, but in general, I'm a pretty darn good sleeper. But I really noticed that the full moon really messes with my sleep. And so last night was one of those nights where it's like you're tossing and turning, you're kind of falling asleep, and then not really. And so I have a notebook next to me and a computer next to me, which is really not the best thing to do. And so I'm like, well, let me watch another video, and then I'm taking a little notes, and then I'm falling back to sleep. And so I'm good. I feel good. And I've had maybe 4 hours of sleep. So
yeah. I have so many questions around this, the sleep thing. I feel like I want to pull in all the people that know all, Courtney, that know all the stuff about the moon and all. Why is it during a full moon that we can't sleep?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, it obviously the moon, and I know very little about it, but if you think about it from a science standpoint, the moon and the impact that it has on the waves of the ocean and the pull that it has. And so if it's at its fullest, there's a pull that's happening with us, that it's pulling me awake, apparently.
I'm still learning a lot about it because I'm a reflector. So my authority is the moon, which means that I don't ever make a decision or, can't figure it out. So I'm learning about all of that stuff and how it affects me as well. So the moon, the beautiful moon.
The moon. Yes.
So one of the things that we knew that we wanted to talk about today was just doing a check-in, right? It's almost May. How did that happen?
I know. I actually had an oh crap moment last night when I was doing weeks. Cause I don't know about you, but when you're doing your planning, are you how many weeks is it to? And so I like to set certain dates, or whatever. And it was oh, May's next week. Oh gosh. And so,
to do.
Yeah. It's oh gosh, that snuck up on me. And so yeah. And I love that you said this is something we knew we wanted to talk about because we decided 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, that we knew 3 minutes ago that we were.
Yeah.
But I say that because, we get to this time of the year and it's really easy sometimes to go into blame and beat up and shame and all of the stuff because we made these big goals in January and we had all this stuff planned and then life happens and we move and we shake and we ebb and we flow and we adjust and all that kind of stuff. And so I think, what I hear you saying is the adjustment piece of it. Okay, here we are, May. Okay, what does this look like? And what does it mean? And how do I move forward? And just all the stuff. And my thought is that a lot of people don't take the time to just go, okay, really? Stop. Where am I at right now? Just let me check in and see where I'm at right now. Why do you think that is?
I think it's, I think we just get bogged down into the day to day, and we're in our routines. And I was actually thinking, so yesterday I went and did one of the things that from a goal standpoint. So I always said, and you know, some of this, because I
Yeah.
even walked you through some of this
Yeah.
is I really narrow down every year to no more than three like big priorities in my life. And so I'm only focusing on 2 to 3 every single year. And that covers my entire life. That's not like just 3 in business. That's life.
Everything.
And
Mhm.
so right now, one of those is qualifying for the Boston Marathon. And it is like, we don't know how long it's going to take, but that's a priority of mine of the journey. And
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting because over the weekend, because I've got some races lined out. And I think this is so important because what I'm learning through this is so applicable to business and other areas of life. And so it's, I've got them like right next to me. Like, here's the races that I'm doing, and here's what the training looks like, and all of that.
The
And
plan.
yeah, the plan for that. And also knowing like you really don't know how you're going to do and timing wise and those types of things, but you're still working the plan. And
Right.
so one of the things that my running coach is having me do is do a bunch of lab work for like fitness optimization, and it
Oh.
looks at like all these biomarkers, because she's like, I
Mhm.
feel like, and I've been feeling like something feels off, something feels heavy. And this, which is including me, because also like I'm feeling fluffy and heavy with the
Fluffy and heavy.
yeah. And so,
Mm.
but I'm noticing like
Hmm.
bodies changing, different things like that. And so she's like, let's look at some things that are deficient and or like might need supplementation, or food might need to change, or some workout things that might need to change. Like there's something we get to nip in the bud. So let's go a
Yeah.
little deeper. And why I love this so much is I was watching a video and it was talking about how well do you actually know your numbers. And I think
Yeah.
about it from a
Woo.
standpoint, I know, and I think about it from a standpoint, from a neutral standpoint. And it's like,
Mhm.
what are the areas of your life that you can rattle off that it's just
Yeah.
like, I know this, I know the value of my house, or I know the number in my bank account, or I don't like
Yeah.
those things. And so one of the things that I saw with this fitness optimization piece was a lot of people do their whole overview every quarter.
Like
And
a
then
check-in.
it's more than that. Like they rerun their labs. And this is an app that kind of gives you a like, what's my next prescription action plan that goes along with
Right.
it. It's extremely comprehensive.
Love that.
And then you can make adjustments. And sometimes it's small adjustments that you don't even realize. And it zooms out, it's looking
Mhm.
at the whole picture, all the data, all your lifestyle, all the things. And then you can make adjustments, but you still got your bigger goal.
Mm.
And I thought, this is actually what we get to do in every area of life. And
Totally.
are we really taking the time to zoom out, to look at the data, to
Yeah.
look at like what's working, what's not working, still keep the big picture goals, bring them back into focus if they've fallen off,
Right.
and look at where do I get to fine tune so that I can create momentum. And I
Yeah.
think we just get so bogged down that we're just in the day to day, we're in the daily, we're in the things. And so one of the things for me that we're looking at is, do I actually delay some of the races in the fall and do some different ones because of what I'm working on? Or
Mhm.
do I do some things? And it's like, I think we all get to have that flexibility in the plan, but remain focused on that higher level vision. But it's so important to do a breakdown like this. So
Yeah, flexibility in the plan is huge. Like, because I know it's so easy to get tied to the outcome, right? Like it's that I've got this outcome and that's what it's supposed to be. And then along the way in the plan, if we start going a different direction, what I see so often, I do it, right? Like, it's like, nope, that was the thing. Nope, that was the thing. And we're not flexible to go, okay, well, I'm going to take this new piece of information in and see what I can do with it and see how it will adjust plan. So, and I love your zoom out and zoom in. Like I this year, probably for the first time, I find myself doing that more intentionally, right? Like zooming out. Okay. Yeah. What was the vision? What was the vision? Oh yeah. Great. Now let's come back in. What's working? What's not working? Okay, great. And then it's that I'm calling it a check-in, but I agree with you. It's so much deeper than that. It's like really understanding exactly where you're at and knowing what the next right step is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So I
You
would
know,
ask that, like, if you're listening to this, when's the last time you did that? When's the last time you checked in with your vision, right? We all have this vision or this goal or this thing that we're trying to accomplish. But again, in January, people do the New Year's resolutions, right? I'm going to set this goal. And then by the end of January, it's out the window because they haven't checked in to see if they're really on it. So
yeah.
it's huge.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I'm really noticing too is where are some things in my schedule that because I'm a big builder in a lot of space in my schedule. I'm not one that like runs
Yeah.
myself into
Packs
the
it in. I
yeah.
pack it
And
in.
so however, one of the things that I'm looking at is where are some things that have become habit in my schedule that really aren't serving me and that aren't moving me towards the vision, like aren't really moving me towards, maybe a revenue goal, or aren't really moving me towards even my fitness, like some things where like strength training gets to be way up on the get to list, and it's something that tends to fall off and be pushed to the side with some of the habits that I've gotten into, and
Sure.
it's like silly things. So it's like, ooh, what gets to be reworked in my schedule that really, really sets me up for success? And so so those are some things that I'm looking at to say, how do I get to move around, that whole like, does your commitments match your calendar? And
Yeah.
so I really am looking at, okay, for the next, because I was really reevaluating some things last night in the middle of the night, for the next 6 weeks. And it was like, what gets to happen for the next 6 weeks? And where do I want to change up my calendar to match that to ensure a high level of success?
Yeah. Beautiful. What I hear you saying is continuous improvement, right? Like it's it's the intention of continuous improvement. Because I see that in business a lot. And I mean, yes, we talk about it in our personal lives and stuff like that, but I see it in business as well. As we've got this goal and we don't hit this goal. And so now we're all going to pretend to not know that we didn't hit this goal, because there's all the shame and blame and all the stuff that goes with it. So what I hear you saying is building an intentional plan around continuous improvement, which means we get to constantly check in to see where we're at with it,
Yeah.
which is really, really huge. So yeah, that attached to the outcome is a doozy. Being attached to what it looks like and not allowing yourself to ebb and flow along the way.
Yeah.
So when you think about this year and when you think about what's different for you this year than maybe it has been in the past, because you got a lot of stuff coming up and I want you to talk about that too. You're all over the place, taking people globally to these beautiful places and all of that. And so what's different for you this year than it has been in the past?
Well, before we go there, I'm curious, what are you noticing for the
For
like,
you?
no, what are you
Oh, for
noticing?
me.
That would be a fun question. But no, what are you noticing for you? Like that's coming up. Like that, those are a couple of things that I'm noticing of what gets to shift for the
Yeah.
continuous improvement to hit my goals. There's a couple other things that are coming up. As I'm doing this check-in. What are you noticing for you?
Well, this year was the first year that I implemented, I'm calling it a heads and tails meeting, right? So I like have this heads and tails meeting and I've got two of them. I got one every day and then I also do like a weekly one. And it's really supported me to like catch it quicker. So if I'm off base or if I'm off track, it allows me to catch it quicker and make that improvement or make that tweak or whatever that looks like in a much better way. So
who is this heads and tails meeting with? Because all I'm picturing is a dog chasing its tail. And so,
yeah,
so I'm
heads
like,
and tails
is it
meeting is
just you talking from your head to your tail?
nope, every day it's me and myself, right? Like in the morning, setting the intention. What do I get to create today? At night, which is the heads part of it, right? At night before I go to bed, checking in, how did I do today? What am I committed to tomorrow? So again, it's intentionality. It's just being super intentional about how I'm spending my time, about how I'm reflecting on my time, about how I'm understanding what's working and what's not working. So the
So you've
daily one
added
is
in
with
a daily review, basically.
Yep, from with myself, but I've also added in a weekly team review with my
Uh-huh.
team. So on Mondays, what we're also doing on Mondays is going, okay, priority this week is this. Priority this week is to get the email sequence down. Priority this week is to get these, whatever it is. So that really supports us too. And that's like on a weekly kind of a thing where on Friday, then we can go, okay, priority this week was X. How did we do? Right. And we really, as a team, then can dig into that, what worked about it, what didn't work about it, what was in the gap, what support is needed, all that kind of stuff. So instead of putting a head in the sand and just go, 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 which I used to be really, really good at. And I still catch myself doing that. It allows me that time and space to just stop, be quiet, check in and catch stuff that maybe in the past I wouldn't have caught. So that seems to be really working for me this year. That's what I've implemented. Yeah.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I didn't even make up the name Heads and Tails. One of my clients actually made up she's like, oh, you're talking about a Heads and Tails meeting. I'm like, I love that name.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah. It's just it's a wraparound process that really supports to be intentional about that continuous improvement. It's really about the intentionality of it.
Yeah. What else are you noticing, or what else have you implemented that's worked for this year?
I think, boy, that's really supported this year, heavier on strategy this year. I think that, and checking in on the strategy, I've always had a business plan. I've always, had it on paper, but what I didn't always do is share it. And what I didn't always do was really check in on it. So again, that kind of goes in with that heads and tails meeting, but it's just being way more strategic this year about where I'm spending my time. It's really easy as a business owner, and this, all the business owners listening know this. It's really, we wear all the hats, and until we start bringing on team to start taking some of those hats off, it's very easy to get in the mud and not realize that you're in it. So for me this year, it's been about realizing where I'm at much quicker so that I can adjust and move forward where I need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
And I
sure.
think that's so true in business. But I also think, like, because one of the things that I think shows up, and definitely is showing up for me, is where some of my old patterns, like having me not hit certain goals just yet, like because I haven't changed a certain I haven't embodied maybe that identity, or I haven't changed a couple of habits that are having me slide, or there's something thinking wise or something like that. That's just kind of like, it just keeps keeping me right at that level, that whole like setting the thermostat piece or whatever. And but I think what you're saying is the same for those that don't have a business. Like if you're in
Totally.
corporate, or, a mom, or like a full-time mom, or God love homeschool moms.
I love,
Like
I love it. Exactly.
anybody that, all of those, because it's like the things that you did say in January, like maybe you said, I want to put my, health at high priority, but again, our commitments aren't matching our calendar, and where we quickly like let that go off track. And then when it does, and it could be anything, but when it does, it's like, then it's like, we could be in a situation where it's May and we're starting to write it off, because it's like, oh, here I am again. Like, that's not
Not
gonna
going to happen this year.
So it's just kind of easier to ignore and kind of go on our merry way, rather than be like, no, like I actually really get to make these changes. Like I believed it was a priority. And so there's a space there, I feel like, when we do that check-in to say, where am I noticing that that's happening? So I also think that it's really great to do with someone else like this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because one is like, sometimes we don't notice our blind spots. And two is when you're talking through it with another person, there's other things that I think come to light. And so
Yeah.
I think it's super
Accountability partner. That's what I hear you saying. Accountability partner. Find an accountability partner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even like you know, husband and wives that they kind of do a check-in, and here's what we decided that was gonna happen at the beginning of the year. Like, let's do a check-in. How's it going? So I think that is I think that's really great to look at. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. For sure.
Yes.
I can't even
Um,
remember what the question I asked you was.
well, but I had a spin-off question.
You did.
Because those are the things that you've implemented. What are a couple of the things, like I was saying, I'm noticing a couple things that where I'm sliding into another pattern so that I'm going to stay at the status quo, and it's like I'm really getting to like pull myself up by the bootstraps. I'm
Totally.
noticing that right now of the part
Yeah.
of me. And so what are you noticing as you're doing your check-ins right now and really tuning in? What are you noticing that might be showing up for you this year?
I'm noticing the same pattern that always shows up. Imagine that, right? But it's overwhelm. I'm like, yes, 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 we can do that. Yes, let's do that. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, yes, yes. And and then I'm overwhelmed, right? And I'm off track from where I really said that I wanted to be. And so that overwhelm nerd for me is real, and I catch it a lot faster this year now that I've implemented that stuff, but it's still there. It's still definitely there. At the end of the week, I'll be like, dang it, that got me. Peace got me again, and part of it for me, being super transparent, is that my husband is retired. And so I'm not starting a business anymore, but I'm still in the beginning stages of a business. He's retired. So just when he's winding down, I'm winding up, kind of a thing. And we've really worked through that in the last probably 6 to 9 months, as far as, my schedule and my calendar. And so now I block off Mondays and Fridays. Not that I don't do work on those days, but they're more open if we want to go and do something. So for me, this year has been a practice and I'm still working on it, but it's been practice in managing my calendar and really being able to go, this is the time that I'm working, and being able to be more organized about what all of that looks like. And then on those times when I'm here, because I'm promoter and squirrel and high energy and ADHD and all that kind of stuff, really making really awesome use of my time when I'm in it.
Mm-hmm,
So that's
mm-hmm.
an ongoing thing for me.
Yeah, I love though that you are like holding that line and tightening it to
Mhm.
really honor what you want in life, because it's really easy
Yeah.
for to like kind of bleed, because I remember when we were doing your plan, sitting in your house that one day, and we were like, let's get out the whiteboards. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things that you
Mhm.
really talked about, because we were crafting, what do you want your schedule to be like, and
Yeah.
really honoring, because one of the things is many times we're not honoring the life that we truly want to, the way we want to truly live our life. We're building all of our things first, and then like let me manage my life around it,
Yeah.
rather than the opposite. And
Yeah.
that was one of the
So
things
true.
we did that day, was like, no, 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 let's back up. Like, what do you want life to look like? And one of the things is like, you wanted those weekend, like, let me get in the car with Rocky and Al and just go, and you wanted the freedom of that on the weekend. So it was like, okay, so Mondays and Fridays get to be scheduled different. And so I love that you are saying that that's improved for you,
Yes.
and it has another level.
So much so, Keri, I have to tell you that on my Calendly, I actually have specific times for interviews. I have specific times for just connection calls. I have specific, so I like have literally organized my calendar in a way that really works. Does it like, do I honor it 100% of the time? And is it, no, and I'm working on it, and it's really supported with organization and everything that goes with that. So
Yeah, progress. Tony Robbins, progress over perfection.
progress.
That's what we're looking
Yes.
for. My
Yeah.
1% better today than I was yesterday. Like
I
that's it.
almost, yeah, I almost posted that today. No lie, 1% better every day.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
I'm going to post it today now that you said that.
Yes, of course. I've been saying that a lot lately because
Yeah,
it's like we look for these really big things, but that 1%, dang it, that really adds up. Like that's
it
all I'm
does.
working on. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good. Continuous improvement, not attached to the outcome, right? All the good stuff. The words I heard you use were fluffy and heavy. So no more fluffy and heavy.
Yeah, and I think on that, I think it's so important to tune in. I was just listening to something last night when I was on my let me listen to.
When you
Uh,
were awake.
and I was awake. But one of the things that said that when you are out of alignment, one of the first places it shows up is in your body. Your body really
Mm,
starts talking to you, and there's certain things going on. And are you taking the time and really, really starting to look at what's going on? Because many times your body's starting to give you symptoms of something that's a bigger issue in your life. And things will manifest within our body. And so as I'm going through transition of, I'm noticing I'm not like in the menopause. Yeah, I'm in the perimenopause.
yep.
And so I'm in the transition there. I'm in the transition of letting go of my townhome, moving to a nomad life.
That big
Kids
change.
are moving out. I'm transitioning some things in my business. And so it's like, where is what I see it as I notice that, I'm having the disruptive sleep and the pounds are coming on and the things are just starting to feel heavy, is what I look at as is what in my life, because there's fine tuning with the labs and the different things like that. Because there's a part of us that wants to say, let me let some of my goals go. And I'm just like, no, like, what if I get to be the woman who's in the absolute best shape, has the fastest running times for me in
Yeah.
her 50s? Like, why not? Like, why not? And so I'm looking at it as, where do I get to do a check-in and what am I clinging to?
Mhm.
Because I'm in this stage of like letting go in such a big transition. What am
Yeah.
I clinging to and still trying to like grasp and hold on to in order to go to the next rung? And so I've got to
Mhm.
let stuff go. And so where is there a delay in that's actually showing up in my body? And so
Yeah.
that's something that like I'm asking myself, like, what are some mindsets that I'm holding on to that aren't having me move to the next level? What are some
Mhm.
habits that I'm hanging on to that aren't having me move to the next level? Calling in a committed relationship. Where am I keeping myself safe and like kind of holding on to some stuff so that, that's not there, that's not called in as quite as easily, those types of things. It's like, where do I get to like let some stuff go that it's just showing up. It's showing up in that.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was sick 2 times this winter. 2 times, like super sick 2 times. And both of those times that my body got sick was when I was go, 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 go. I wasn't checking in. I wasn't paying any attention. I was like on it. And I was on it so hard, right? That my body said, no, 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 wait a second. Like you get to calm down. You get to stand down for a minute. And I got sick and I got really sick 2 times this year. And so it was my body's way, exactly what you're saying. It was my body's way of saying, wait a second, you're not in alignment right now. And you
Mhm.
get to slow down and get back into alignment. So listen to your body is what I heard you say.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, what are the decisions that I get to make off of those learnings? for my future self. So like for you, what I'm hearing is yes, I get to slow down and listen to my body, but what do I get to start putting in place so that I'm operating differently, so that for the next 6 months, I'm truly honoring all of that.
Which is where I put, I mean, as I've been doing the heads and tails stuff for probably about a year, but
Yeah.
since I've gotten sick this last time, double down on it. Like the first time back in, I think it was October or November. Okay, I get to do this consistently. It was like, oh, this gets to happen consistently. And then this last time it was like, okay, you're still not consistent. Like you're still not there. And so it was, you know, constant continuous improvement. It really, like the continuous improvement thing, the 1% better. And so I'm super focused in and intentional now. Doesn't mean that it's still 100%, but I'm way more intentional about it
Yeah. Yeah.
than I have been in the past. And taking care of myself. It's an age-old thing. You know, I'm super, super awesome at taking care of everyone else. And I preach the self-care and I preach it all. And every now and then I'm like, dang it, got me. Like it got me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. What is a couple questions that when you do, when you do your heads and tails, I think that would be great. What is a couple specific questions that are in your heads and tails meeting?
Oh, I have a 4-question sequence. I actually train this in a lot of my stuff, that it's a 4-question sequence. It's a check-in sequence. So what worked? So
Yep.
whatever it is that I'm focusing on, priority, self-care, business, like whatever is in that, you know, the whole point of the heads and tails is what's the intention, what's the priority. And so whatever that is, the 4-question sequence is what worked about that this week or this day, what didn't work, you know, what was in the gap and what support do I need? It's a 4-question sequence. And then immediately onto the commitment. Okay, based on that, whatever I discover from those 4 questions, okay, now what am I committed to tomorrow or next week or whatever that looks like? So those 4 questions help keep me like centered on what's working. I always say, I use the Cheetos example, right? Like,
Oh, what's the Cheetos? I don't know this.
it's a Cheetos
I
example.
know the
Like if I,
PB&J one, but I don't know the Cheetos.
like if I say I'm going to lose 40 pounds in 3 months, right? Or what X number of weight in X number
Yeah.
of months, whatever it is. And I get to that 3 months and I've lost 30 pounds. Have I failed? Like, and you'd be surprised at how many people will be like, yeah, you failed. No, I didn't. I lost 30 freaking pounds. I get to celebrate that. So what
Yes.
worked? I lost 30 pounds. I lost 5 pounds this week. That worked. Good deal. What worked about that? Well, I didn't eat the Cheetos. I exercised 4 times this week, right? Like that all worked. It
Yeah.
worked. Or what didn't work? I sat on the couch and watched movies 2 nights this week and ate Cheetos and ice cream. That doesn't work. What's
Yeah.
in the gap? Stop buying the Cheetos and ice cream. Right. And what support do you need? I get to just stay committed to this goal of not doing it. You're not going to buy it. I'm not going to eat it next week. I'm going to lose 2 pounds next week, whatever that is. But it's just that 4-question sequence that helps keep me on track for what's really working and what's not working.
I love that.
Great question back. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But I think it's like so important for us to have some of the specifics that come, out of that. I just created on that same lines. I'm teaching a manifesting, like an up-leveled manifesting like 2.0 for somebody's community, and I created a worksheet for them to go through every day, and it's a 4-step process, and so everybody has been really looking at it, because sometimes we think manifesting's all woo woo, and it's really just doesn't have that piece of it. But it's like, no, there's actually there's all the energy
scientific.
but there is an actual systematic process with it. And so having them get in tune with it every single day, and really looking at the commitment and then going through the 4 steps every single day. It's like,
Every single day.
brings it back into focus, and it doesn't have to take all day. Like it doesn't have to be your focus all day, but am I focusing on it every day? It's one of our mutual mentors, how we met back in the day. One of my favorite sayings from her, and I say it all the time, from Danette May, is she would say, small hinges move big doors. small hinges like open big doors, and it only takes 3 teeny tiny small hinges to open a really big door. So what are your 3 hinges to open your big door? And so it's like, can I create a lever that's going to be creating movement to open the big door? I don't have to focus on like, how can I open the fullness of the big door?
Yeah.
I got to focus on what are the 3 hinges that are creating leverage. And so it's like, let me look at so in the manifesting piece, one of the steps of the 4-step process is inspired action. So it's like, what are your 3 hinges that's inspired action for today that's creating leverage on your manifestation to open the door, because we get to be in partnership to create that. So yeah, I think it's so great for anyone listening, for not only us to say, what are we doing? What are we not doing? But anyone listening to take any of that and apply it.
Well, and the other thing that's coming up for me is no matter where you're at in this growth game, no matter where you're at in the whole process of like all of it, it's really about awareness, being aware of what's working and what's not working, being aware of what the goal is, and then finding those things that work for you to get there. But if we're not aware of it, or if we're pretending not to know, which I was really good at for a long time, right? Pretending not to know that this is not working in your life. It's, it's that awareness.
Yeah. And I think the other piece of it is like, sometimes we are working on this goal that we actually don't even want. Like, when you're talking about, is it working? Is it not working? Sometimes I think back to the, why don't we take space, is we've committed to creating a life that we don't actually really enjoy living. And so one of the things is like, okay, I'm evaluating these goals of whether or not they're working all the time or not. But it's like, at the end of the day, am I really liking the way my life is running? Like, those get to be in those like quarterly questions, definitely yearly, but at least quarterly questions. And we go through different seasons. And I think it's so incredibly important to ask some of those deeper questions. So
I love where you're going with this. We had talked about this before. This is actually, we're going to wind it down right now, because this is only part 1. We get to get together and do part 2. And maybe when we pick up part 2, we start talking about those seasons. I love where you're going with that.
Okay, great.
And it's a great place to like bookmark it and talk about the seasons. Like, what does that mean? Yeah. So let's talk about that on your podcast next.
Great. So you can find part 2 over on the Grace on Fire podcast. So super fun, super great convo here.
Yeah. I feel like you and I could sit and talk all day long. It'd be amazing. And we probably have.
We can, and we have all the things.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to part 1 of this episode. Make sure to go over to Grace on Fire podcast and catch it. Part 2, which we'll do. But until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Have a great day.
My name is Tina Paulus-Krause, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out our programs and events at trueyouteams.com. And until next time, make it an amazing day.